Welcome to my first installment of the True Paradox of Production. I'm your host, True Paradox, and I'm going to talk to you about the paradox of producing. What is the paradox? In my opinion, getting the track as loud as you want, as loud as it can be, while still having a balanced mix, a clean mix, and a nice sound. You don't want it to sound all distorted and garbage, but you also want it to sound as loud as possible. So in this series, I'm going to be going over a lot of those things, a lot of different little tips and tricks for any up-and-coming producers that need some help. I hope this helps for you. So let's get started. So today I'm explaining a very basic technique called sidechaining. What is sidechaining, you might ask? Well, that's a great question. It's a form of parallel compression where one sound makes another sound dip down behind it if there's overlapping frequencies. This is a common problem with like your bass kick and your bass guitar or your bass synth. So you want that kick to punch through the mix and they're getting in the way and the sub's kind of battling for space in your mix, and so we're going to do this technique and it's going to make the kick punch the sub bass in the ass, and then the bass gets out of the way and you have a nice sounding mix. Perfect. So in this example, I'm going to be using a very simple drum beat, very simple bass line that's steady, and I want that hard bass kick to come and punch that bass in the ass, and that we can hear it. I'm going to get into this in another video about multiple layers to an instrument, namely the bass here. I have a mid layer and a sub layer. The sub layer is the one that's going to be overlapping with the kick, and the kick's getting in the way. So I only want to compress the sub bass part of the instrument. So I'm going to go to the sub bass channel, and I'm going to find my favorite limiter, the Fruity limiter. If you're using a different program, just find a similar compressor that allows a sidechaining channel. And then you're going to want to go to your kick channel, and you want that kick to sidechain to the sub. So if you right click down here at the bottom, you go down to sidechain to this track, and that will make a little cable here. You can see the link from the kick to the sub bass. That indicates there's a sidechain. Make sure the volume on this knob is down. You don't want any actual sound to pass through. You just want the signal. You're going to want to use this technique in moderation. Definitely use your ears and make sure that you don't noticeably hear the volume changing on your bass. So as you can see on this, the sub bass is in that very low end, and if I open up the kick equalizer, there's overlapping frequencies here. These are the ones that I want to stop combating each other. I want the kick to always win, but I still want you to be able to hear that bass. And you can use this for other overlapping frequencies, such as a snare drum over vocals, guitars, or strings, anything that's in the same frequency range. So if you go to your compressor plugin, you'll want to start by going to the sidechain channel here and changing that to 1. That'll bring in the kick on the sidechain channel. And then you're going to want to start lowering the threshold here. As you lower the threshold, you're going to see the kick waves coming in on the limiter here. If you're using FL20, you want to bring that threshold down to a point where it's cutting off the peak of the kick. That indicates that the kick is at a loud enough level that it's going to initiate the compressor. You're going to want to start adjusting the knee, or it might be called type on your program. In this case, it's a percentage. I want to go up to 50%. And then on the ratio, you want it to be a big ratio, usually between 3 and 4 to 1. So I'm going to set my ratio to 4 to 1. You want the attack to be almost instantaneous. So 0.001 or 0.02, whatever you got there. Make it a quick attack and a quick release, about 50 milliseconds to 80 milliseconds on the release, depending on your sound and your tempo, your beats per minute, all that. The sustain, or it might be called look ahead, you want to set that a few milliseconds longer than your attack so that it has some more time to react to those peaks. And now as you can see, the bass kick comes in, it initiates the compressor on the bass, and you see the little valleys where the sub bass is now dipping down behind the kick, making that kick punch through the mix a little bit better, and they're not competing for space. Nothing to it. We'll get into more details on another video where I'll do some more advanced sidechaining techniques like dynamic EQ and things like that. I hope this trick helps you out with all of your music production in the future. And if it does, well, there's going to be more to come. Thanks for watching, and remember, never stop the music.